introduce our guest speaker this evening. This is Reverend Alexis Washington, as I'm sure everyone here knows, and she will be doing a presentation on the incredible history of the Campbell AME Church, just over here on the corner of 3rd and Olive.
Yep.
Thank you very much, everyone. Reverend Washington, please.
All right. It's been a minute since I tested this again, so I'm just going to make sure it's still working. Okay, awesome. We are moving and grooving. So yeah, good evening, everyone. On this rainy Wednesday, as Paul said, I'm Reverend Alexis Washington. I'm the pastor of Campbell African Methodist Episcopal Church in Media, Pennsylvania. It's currently located right on 3rd and Olive. I say currently because before it was somewhere else. So that is where we reside right now. The topic this evening is From Enslavement to Empowerment, the Legacy and Future of Campbell AME Church of Media. So we're going to dive way all the way back to the 1700s, beginning all the way up until where we are today. Just describing how we started, what we were doing when we were there, and where we're going now. And specifically, I'm talking about the year 1827 to present, because 1827 is when we were formally established. So anyone doing the math, that's 198 years. So we are quickly approaching our bicentennial of 200. So very excited about that. And I hope that this evening, while I've only prepared about 30 minutes, so some of it will be a very brief overview of our history, that it might share something that you maybe didn't know before. And so with that, we're going to start with storytelling. I know it's a little blurry, but storytelling for me, it's personal and it matters. One quote that I like to share often is that until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero. Another way that that's interpreted is that the hunter will always be glorified. And so how I view that is that it's important that we always tell our own stories and not other people telling it for us. And so with that, I also wanted to add that as a big thank you to Delco Historical Society for giving us this opportunity to share our story, not just about Campbell, but of the Free African Society, of African Methodism, and just the story of Black people and Black liberation in Delaware County. And so one thing I really wanted to highlight is that Black churches, we've historically been known for more than just being a house of worship. We've started as a place of education, a place of resilience, a place of hope, and we continue to try and exemplify that today. I'd like to shout out, since this is recorded, that Reverend Baker, Reverend Dr. Angela Baker, the current pastor of Thornbury AME Church, is here, and she also shares that same story of even currently the activism that comes with social justice, providing vaccines and education with A.M.E. And so also I will be sharing a little bit about Campbell's efforts for preservation. And preservation, it's not just about us working on our building, but it's also about the people, the history of Campbell, some people that I will mention, and how we still care for not just our building, but the community around us in media. And so, where we began. Bishop Richard Allen, if anyone has never heard of him, he is the founder of not only the Free African Society, but the first independent Black denomination and church, known as now African Methodist Episcopal Church. Richard Allen, alongside Absalom Jones, began our denomination and our church and our foundation in 1787. The motivations for that were actually from racial discrimination, and it happened at St. George's in Philadelphia, St. George Methodist Church, where they say they were praying on an altar, and the Black parishioners at that time were told to rise up and leave. They could not worship in the same way while the other Methodists were present. And so what I've researched and even known is that Bishop Allen at the time, as Reverend Allen, led worship services at separate times for the Black parishioners. And he felt in that moment alongside Absalom Jones that it was no longer just. And rather than leaving the church altogether, he and Absalom Jones, along with other African congregants, began to form the African Methodist Episcopal Church from Bishop Allen, and also the African Episcopal Church from Bishop Absalom Jones. And these churches are still continuing. They still leave a legacy across the country, across the world. In particular, a lot of growth during the Civil War and Reconstruction period. And today we are across, as African Methodist Episcopal people, across the United States, 38 other countries, and 5 different continents. So we have come very far by our faith. Our motto, to give everyone just brief history of that, our motto is God our Father, Christ our Redeemer. Some people say man our brother. The one that we use from Absalom Jones, the Holy Spirit our comforter, and humankind our family. But I like to share that one in particular because it exemplifies even what I at Campbell like to use, that we try to minister and care for not just only your spiritual well-being, but your social and physical development. That was the establishment of our church as African Methodist Episcopal people, to care for the whole person. That was the reason why the Free African Society as a mutual aid organization was established. It was beyond just worshiping, but caring for others in a space that they were not having access to. The 3 principles that we should be following is to making available God's biblical principle, period. Just making it available to people beyond your church doors in whatever setting that you're in. It's spreading Christ's liberating gospel because the Christ that we serve is a Christ from the Exodus to your freedom, where we are all free, where we all have access to equitable health care, education, you name it. And also, and I added an asterisk because this is really why I'm here today, to provide continuing programs which will enhance the social development of all people, to create community, to have a space. And if anyone knows anything about Campbell, we try and offer our space to other people to have that type of community. I love this image. My pointer actually does like this. So we have here Bishop Richard Allen. He is the first bishop. Following that, we have the following bishops that came after that, which leads us to Bishop Jabez Pitt Campbell. He was the 8th elected and consecrated bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Why does that matter? Because our name is Campbell. Before I talk a little bit more about him, I do want to talk about the Free African Society. Some of you were here and you kind of were hearing about the age of Thornbury A.M.E. being 185 years. We always say that with an understanding that there were people gathering before they were part of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. There are churches part of our denomination that were established before the A.M.E. Church was even fully incorporated. The Free African Society, again, in 1787 was established in Philadelphia, not far from here, by leaders, Richard Allen and Absalom Jones. They were created in the midst of enslavement. They were part of the Underground Railroad. And their key roles included caring for the sick, assisting the widows and orphans with charity. And that's a deep connection to the many wars that these men were fighting. They said, we're going to care for those who may have lost their men in the household, and arranging apprenticeships to educate Black youth. Again, this is before education was accessible to everyone. And so this was a time when they would gather in the church or their spaces, whether they were homes, to have that mutual aid agreement. I added here, you can see in Philadelphia, this placard that tells you more about the Free African Society and the fact that it was a mutual aid organization. One thing about the Free African Society and the way that they gathered, if there are any Quakers in the room, is that they did gather in silence and in prayer. And that is how they worshiped. I like to say that because when I think of a space like Campbell, when they were established from the Free African Society, we had a lot of connections to the Quakers. The Quakers were very helpful, even with giving us the land that we have on 3rd and Olive, as well as the parsonage. And so the Free African Society was started really from the Quaker model. They were helpful with educating those Black Africans who came either by the Underground Railroad or they were coming from just being free and needing a space. So again, I mentioned Jabez Pitt Campbell, and I said, we're currently located at 3rd and Olive. This here, from the Media Archives Commission, is the first building that Campbell owned. It's actually now a parking lot that the courthouse has, but that is where we began. After gathering in the household of Jane and Bruce through the Free African Society. And so I tried to break down this lecture sort of in different periods of time. So 1827 to 1865, meaning during enslavement, early resistance. So Campbell was actually first named Bethel, Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Does anyone know why maybe it was named Bethel? And if you're A.M.E, try not to, if you're like my mom. Langston, why was it named Bethel?
I don't know.
Think of
Mother Bethel Church in Philadelphia.
yes, after
Mother Bethel.
Mother Bethel.
Okay.
Yes.
Known that.
I'm also a teacher.
I had a long day.
So yes, after Mother Bethel, Campbell actually, if you consider the history of Delaware County, and Campbell being the oldest Black church in Delaware County, Campbell most likely is one of the final churches that Bishop Allen started specifically, or sent someone out to establish. And so it's pretty powerful to think that at some point this man who created the denomination that it is now was in Delaware County, in media, before it was called media, but was there. And so Campbell was first known as Bethel. They changed their name because Jabez Pitt Campbell was the former pastor and then went on from Campbell to be the 8th elected and consecrated bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. A brief history about Jabez Pitt Campbell. Before he was pastoring, he actually was the editor of our Christian Recorder. Yeah. See, I was trying to add something that AMEs maybe didn't know. So yeah, he was the editor of the Christian Recorder. When he left from Campbell to be the bishop, he served in what is the 2nd district. As you go down south, that's, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Established some churches further down south, and then in California, and some in Canada that have the name Campbell as well. But he also, before even being licensed as a preacher in Philadelphia, where there's another church named Campbell that's older than our Campbell in Frankfurt, he purchased himself out of enslavement. Now that's with a disclaimer that he was born in Sussex, Delaware, not far from here, and he actually was free. Then his father had debt and had to put him back into slavery. And he purchased himself out. And so it's just one of those stories of resilience that I like to speak of that started our church. This church specifically is designed similar to, I'd like to imagine if anyone's seen Spring Valley A.M.E. Church, where it's a mission house, one room, looks kind of like a house. It's far from what we currently have.
And when was this one built?
This one was built in 1840.
Gotcha.
Yes. And then they moved out around the 1890s, floated around, met at Media High School for a little bit, and then they purchased where we currently are on 3rd and Olive, and laid the stone down in 1931. So our current building is not quite 100 years old yet, but we are getting there. The way that Campbell grew, Bethel to Campbell, the way that it grew was really through the abolitionist movement, the Underground Railroad, the Free African Society, many members who either came from Delaware or they came through the Underground Railroad and decided to stop and make this place their home. One story I know that Dr. Sam Lemon did a lecture earlier is William Ridley and his family that were born in the Minshall House worshipped at Campbell. And William Ridley, if you walk by, even during this week, there's a flag next to his plaque. He was the trustee of the building when we moved into the current building that we have. And so there's quite a linkage there. This brings us to 1865 to 1940. I like to title it sort of as Faith as Resistance. It's also the Reconstruction and Jim Crow era. So there was still a lot of segregation laws. It was transitioning in locations, but our church remained despite all of it. Reverend J.L. Link, who's a former pastor of Campbell, was one of the founders of the Media Area NAACP, alongside another pastor from Trinity A.M.E. and many lay leaders across the Media borough. I like to share that because there was racism and resistance within our area of Media alongside all of Delaware County. But despite that and all of the work that was needed to remain, the church continued its legacy, a broader part of the Black freedom struggle. The 1940s, it felt a little quiet to me, but they were still very active. One thing that I've researched and was very helpful when I saw this, this is a Queen's Contest. There are AMEs who understand what the Queen's Contest is from the Women's Missionary Society. It is a fundraiser.
It still exists.
It still exists. And so this is a Queen's Contest. This is happening right here in our pulpit. I was like, I don't know how they did that, but they took everything down. But this is actually part of, from the Media Archives Commission, this is part of the Mary Edwards collection. Mrs. Mary Matthew Edwards was a member of Campbell, and she was very instrumental in media in Delaware County and even the country, because I noticed that she had letters to meet President Jimmy Carter. I'm like, that seems really cool. A big role of Campbell then and still continuing today is the civil rights movement. And I say that and today because if anyone knows what's happening in the world, it seems like we're still in the civil rights movement. It just looks a little different. Campbell has been a meeting ground for organizing, for strategizing, for community resilience. Mary Matthews is just one person out of many people, a part of our congregation, that was instrumental in bringing change. Another member that we have, Martha Burton, who's still living. She's 92. She's in South Media. There's a park named after her for all of the work that she did in South Media, creating a community center and working with youth. And so Campbell has and still remains to be a place of resistance. And despite everything that was happening in the civil rights movement, we still continued. But to bring us to today, and where we are today, I call it a sacred struggle. That's what I call it, what I see with a lot of our churches, not just Campbell alone. Many of our churches and our congregations, they face despair, weariness, fatigue, especially if you've been doing this for almost 200 years. We also face the issue of gentrification, which once were historically Black neighborhoods, no longer are not. For Media in particular, we're surrounded by a lot of law offices. I think of Wesley Swarthmore. It's no longer historically Black. I think of a lot of our churches in cities that have then changed. Some have sold their buildings because they no longer could maintain and remain in those places. But Campbell still remains. Campbell is still there. Campbell is securing our future. And we're excited about that. We're excited to tell our story of all of the many people that are present with us. We're excited to share more than just about our building and our architecture, but also even about the great history and legacy of all of our churches and congregations that had occurred. And so again, I call it a sacred structure, a sacred struggle, because our work is holy. Our work is needed. Our work is important. One thing that I realized I neglected to mention is even my own personal connection to Campbell, is that, and it does fall under this 1980 to present mark, is that 20 years ago, actually, if I'm doing the math correctly, 20 years ago, my dad pastored Campbell, and I was 12. You guys can do the math if you want to. I was awkward then. I'm still awkward now. But yeah, so Campbell has been a place through generations that God has been faithful. We know that there have been members that started at Campbell and left. There have been churches that branched out of Campbell. There have been people that have walked by but never walked through our doors. But we continue to persevere. We continue to serve. We continue to remain. And before I stop, I was told, talk about your preservation efforts and everything that you're doing and how people can help. One thing, I don't know if it was before or after we were given the invitation to present. It may have been like right after or right around the long side. But Campbell is one of 30 churches, part of the Preserving Black Churches cohort, from the National Trust for Historic Preservation African American Cultural Heritage Fund. Whew, it's a long title. I had to practice it because I was like, I really need to get it right. But we are one of the grantees, one of the historic churches enough that they decided we're going to help you move to the next step.
This is nationwide.
This is nationwide. Yeah, they found this little church in Media. We have a really good Little League baseball team and now a really historic church. So we're doing okay. we're doing okay. But Campbell, alongside many other churches, because I know we have 3 represented here, we do need help. Part of it is even just the ability to tell our stories. We need help in different ways. 4. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Yes.
We have
4. Yeah.
Is this a break?
Yes.
Mount Zion. Oh, you know me? Mount Zion. Yeah, we know you.
Oh, the historic Mount Zion, Devin. With the marker and everything, the historic. Yes. But we do need your assistance. Part of it is giving us the ability to tell our story in spaces that we otherwise would not have been able to. Another part of it is utilizing our space. I know for us at Campbell, we do share our space. One of the first efforts we had was renovating our fellowship hall so people could use it. But your expertise is very helpful too. I connected with the Media Archives Commission because I had a question. And then it turned into me somehow ending up as a commissioner. Yeah. But it's fun, and I love being able to have different ideas and a different perspective. We have cemeteries. We have 2 represented here. 3, just kidding, Mount Zion has one too, that need help. We have the need for paint. We have the need for mason work. Yes. We have all of that. Oh, she needs landscapers. Yes, we do have that need. But we do still continue. We still continue with our social justice efforts in spite of everything that is occurring, in spite of even attacks on what might be DEI or what is not DEI. We still continue. We still worship, and we still remain on our foundation of wanting to share the gospel, wanting to share the liberating Christ, and caring for the whole person, not just spiritually. And that's for all people. And while it says, African Methodist Episcopal Church, that is from how we started, from free Africans, but that is not how we are currently. Everyone is welcome in our spaces, no matter who you are. You come as you are. Just this evening, Transition Town of Greater Media was gathering with trans young adults, planning for how we can be a welcoming space to people as they are. And so that is something that we still try to do in spite of everything that is occurring. And so that is very brief history of Campbell AME Church. But I do want to leave time for questions. I'm going to bring it back to this slide because it has like the really cool picture with our door open that says that you're welcome. But yeah, if we have any questions or comments, because we have experts in the room about the AME Church besides just myself.
Do you want to say what you got the grant for?
Oh, yes. So I am still learning the language for all of it, but it is a preservation project planning grant. So I can put my construction hat on yet, but we're not really doing construction yet. We're planning for it. So once we secure architects, we may have identified who we want for our team, but we're not quite announcement ready yet. We will go into our building, become really scared, but identify all of the work that we need to ensure that our building remains for 100 plus years more. So I've already climbed up the bell tower, probably will do that again, but really looking at what we need to do so that the building can maintain. Another part of the project planning, though, does include the feasibility for what our congregation can do. Last June, I don't know if Walt was there, but we had a Friends of Campbell meeting where members of the community, we tried to invite different people. No, Adam was there to represent the media archives.
Yeah. I was there for the environmental.
Yes, but we wanted to hear from the community, and we'll do that again with our project planning. What do you think of our building? What do you think of our space? What is something that we can do? Our priority list with the congregation right now is accessibility. A lot of our churches don't have wheelchair accessibility, but we need architects to figure that out because of the design of our building and to figure out if that's even possible or if we have to do something outside. We are going to look at our stained glass windows. If you ever have a chance to walk by 3rd and Olive, you'll see all of the windows on our second floor, our sanctuary level, is stained glass. And so with that, because of that, we're also going to look at HVAC. How can we get, if we can, what would it look like to get air conditioning? I am entering into this will be my 3rd summer with no air conditioning. Now, it's my 3rd summer. It's their 198th. I get it, but it's 2025. So we are going to figure out, what that will look like to add HVAC. But even smaller other things is, what will it look like to have maybe a family bathroom or a gender neutral bathroom? What will it look like to even change kind of our setup in the fellowship hall, if that's something that we need to do, so that it might look more like there's a classroom or an office. We are working on our kitchen. We kind of took a pause on that when we got the grant, so that we can figure out if we're going to move to open kitchen concept or something like that. In addition to that, after we plan for construction and the project, we'll also have construction bid assistance. I call that the scary part because they'll tell us, okay, this is all that you need to do, this is how much it will cost, and then we'll do the bids so that you know how much you need to raise. But the time is divine because we are in our bicentennial planning stage, which means that hopefully by 2027, we will be in our capital campaign mode. We do want all of you to join with us, the different churches, the different members, to celebrate with us as well, because it's not just about Campbell, it's about all of our churches that remain. And then a big part of this grant also that I am really excited about is that when I got to Campbell, I noticed we weren't on any national register or Pennsylvania state register. Does Delco have one? I don't.
Just local.
Yeah.
And the media.
Right, and Media's Historical Society is the Archives Commission, so it's not really a historical society. So I noticed, I'm like, okay, this church that's as old and historic and has made such an impact beyond just Third and Olive is not registered anywhere. I did on my own have us determined as eligible to be on the National Register. But this grant will help us with the submission process because I'm working on a doctorate, so I don't have time to write what would be a doctorate to submit that to get us on the National Register. And whether that will get us all the way up to federal or we'll just stop at state, we'll see. But hopefully, depending on what's happening in the political world, that could happen by 2027. As well. So those are like the three big parts of our grant. Thanks. Yes.
Yes, hi. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to really get into your history of Campbell, but I'm looking at the building, and so forgive me, because I know you probably already went over this.
No, you're fine.
So the building, who was it constructed by? And was it by the A.M.E. church or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we purchased and built this building, a local name in Delaware County, really. William Ridley, who was the first Black attorney in Delaware County, was one of the trustees. His plaque is actually, I have a pointer. I don't need to walk there, right? His plaque is right here. There's a flag there if anyone, it's kind of dark now. But if you go during the daytime, I think it's raining all week. But for Memorial Day, it's right here. He was one of the trustees of this building. William Ridley, I had shared, was born in the Minchell House, which was part of the Underground Railroad with Providence Meeting House. It's really cool. I keep telling them they need to open up something so people can see their site. Our first building, I'll bring it back so that you can see it, looked like this. Most of our really old A.M.E. churches that are still in their original buildings look similar to, we call them those little, mission homes. Yes.
Not far from Campbell, isn't there another A.M.E. church, Trinity, I think?
Woo! I love that question.
And I had the question, why are two A.M.E. churches so close to each other?
Yes, I love that question. So Trinity is UAME.
Oh, okay.
So a different denomination. They were actually a split off of the A.M.E. church. What happens a lot is we have a lot of people that they worship together, and then whether it's, could have been like the length of your skirt or how you worship something.
Yeah, I'm a Presbyterian.
Yeah.
Okay.
But historically, from what I know, and what still continues, the congregations have worked together.
Okay.
Something I didn't mention when it comes to present is that COVID-19 really impacted all of our churches, but it really impacted in particular the smaller congregation churches like mine or Trinity's, where the buildings were left vacant for quite some time. Trinity has been able to return to their building. They still have a lot of work to do. But same as us, we returned back in our building in September of 2023. after COVID-19. So there was a long period of time. So yeah, but that is a good question because there is a UAME church right down the street. Then there's a Second Baptist Black Church. And then South Media also has an A.M.E. Zion Church.
Is that a different denomination, A.M.E. Zion?
Yes, all different denominations.
They all broke off from the A.M.E. church at one time. It could have been something that happened at general conference. It could have been, you moved my pastor and he wants to, my home church, the pastor got moved.
Say, for historical purposes, you were at First A.M.E. Church in Sharon Hill.
Okay, yeah, right. The pastor got moved, and some of the people got mad, and the pastor said, well, let's go do our own thing. So they just moved to another area, and they said, okay, we're not going to be A.M.E., we're going to be C.M.E., C or something like that, or U.C.A.M.E., you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So what's Honeycomb?
UAME.
UAME.
Oh, okay.
That's the same as Trinity then?
Yes.
And are you saying that Second Baptist started off as an AME church?
No,
Oh, okay.
but there were
Okay.
a handful of members that when they started Second Baptist went over there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, another thing to confuse all of this is that there is a UAME, but it's not African Methodist Episcopal. It's United American something.
Yeah, there is, yeah,
So,
there
you know,
is.
so it gets really tricky, and you have to see what, you know, when in their history they've changed from this to that, to this to that. So, and from building to building and that kind of stuff.
So how many, just because I don't know the inside of your church, how many does it seat inside?
Ooh. Well, we have a wedding, so I know now. 275.
Just
Yes, we have a wedding on Sunday, so.
And the stained, another question, the stained glass windows, do you know when they went in?
They went in with the building. Do I know the condition and everything? No. But ask me again this time next year, and hopefully we will.
so when was this building built? Sorry.
It started construction in the 1920s, and they laid the stone in 1931.
Okay.
So the first building was built
Yes.
in 1840,
Yes.
and between 1827 and 1840 it was in people's houses.
Yep.
And so in 1827, how many AME congregations were there at that point, you know?
Ooh,
Oh, that's a good question.
that is a good question.
Because I wonder how early amongst them.
Right, we'd have to start with the state first.
Yeah, so the AME Church
Like
was
all over?
formally
Yeah.
established 1816.
What year was
Mother
your church
Bethel
built?
was
You said 1787.
Mine-
So it's
Yes.
one of the first ones.
My church was 1799,
Ooh, that's early.
but Richard Allen got there in 1820 something.
Which church is you?
Mount
Yes.
Zion.
Mount Zion
Swedesboro.
AME Church in Swedesboro.
Oh,
He has the Underground Railroad in his church, the whole,
Right. And
yeah.
27.
Paul.
The whole thing.
Regarding like,
The
so
holes in the
like,
ground and the
I understand
wall.
how like with Presbyterians, they have like the Presbyterian Historical Society in Philadelphia, and Quakers have like the Friends Library for their archives, it's like a church. So, for the AME church, do you guys have like a central location that you like house all this like kind of documented archives and information? Or is
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no.
That's similar with the Presbyterians,
Yeah.
like how many times they split off, it's like different. But,
Yes, so we have a historiographer
Oh.
who's considered a general officer, Reverend Mark Tyler, who was at Mother Bethel. So some of you might say, oh, I think I knew that name because he was at Mother Bethel in Nashville. So there's a lot down there.
Okay.
Mother Bethel, which is that first church, they have a museum that houses a lot. But a lot of AME churches, and how I connected with our Archives Commission, don't send their things there. You know, they try to either house them in their own
Right.
settings,
Okay.
or I've heard many donate them to local universities. as well.
So Mother Bethel's Museum is probably mostly about that congregation, right?
For the most
No,
part.
no,
They have.
well, yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I went there 2 years ago, and I was just walking through, and the person showed me. She said,
Margaret Javita.
yes, she asked me about my family, and I was telling her this was the first stop my grandmother when she got off the bus, and she said, "Oh, would you like to look at some pictures?" I saw my grandmother when she was 19. It was a black and white, and she was sitting in the congregation.
Yeah.
And then I kept looking, and then I found my great aunt. She was a stewardess because she had the white prayer cap on, and you could tell by the shoes. It must have been like 1930 because they had the high heel nursing shoes, not the flat ones. And it was just they keep a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of stuff that happened in
Mother Bethel.
Mother Bethel.
That's what I thought.
And they also keep good baptismal records. If you want to go see like a relative or something, they have it there
For Mother Beth.
from Mother Bethel.
And that's part of the problem that I've run into is because it's not necessarily centralized in any place. And it's just like you said, a lot of churches have donated their information to universities, so it's sort of scattered. I think one of the things that pulls it together is the Christian Recorder,
Yes.
which is another thing on my list of 1,000 things to do, is to get in there and just read every column so I can pick out pieces, for all the different things that I'm doing. But it's just very, very frustrating that it's not all in one place.
Yeah.
I think Cheney has a bunch of archives about different places too, so that might be another location.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cheney was established out of AMEs.
Yeah.
AMEs and Quakers.
Bishop Coppin and Francis
The Quakers
Coppin.
gave them
Yeah.
the land.
So again, another connection. Yeah, and I had shared earlier, Bishop Campbell, as you're researching, if you go all the way, way back, was an editor for the Christian Recorder.
Where was that published out of, or is it still published out of?
Yeah, they're in Nashville now.
They're in Nashville.
But you can subscribe for digital, or you can get them mailed.
Delivered paper-wise.
I get both.
And for the longest time, the Christian Recorder was published in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's what I was wondering,
But and not only that, but I don't know if you know, but the Christian forgive me, but
Yeah.
the Christian Recorder actually split off, and there are other Christian recorders. There's the Southern Christian
Oh, like
recorder.
the A.M.E. Church.
Yes, there's like maybe 4 or 5 Christian recorders, and then they merged back together. They separated and merged. Very, very interesting history.
Like the missionaries. The southern branch of the missionaries was different than what we were doing in the north.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
That's a crazy question. How come the bell tower?
Insurance purposes, I want to say
I'll
no.
sign a waiver.
Yeah, if you want to sign a waiver. That is something, beyond the masonry work. When I climbed the bell tower the first time at Campbell, I noticed there was not a bell in the belfry. The fact that I know it's a belfry now, and not just the bell tower, to maintain our church, the members, our 98-year-old member, well, she'll be 99 in 3 days, told us that they sold the bell. And so that is, as I call it, part of that sacred struggle to maintain. So yes, you can climb.
I'll wait till you get a bell.
Yes.
Well, are you guys thinking of getting a bell?
We are. We're working with someone who is helping us to either identify someone who's getting rid of their old bell, or will donate a bell, and also incorporating that to possibly raise funds to get an electronic one.
Yeah, electronic ones. A
I
lot
was
of the
gonna say
churches
that,
and media
yes.
have electronic ones
Yes.
if they don't have a real bell.
Yeah.
There's a busted one down in Philly that you could probably get cheap.
Who's gonna fix it, Walt?
There's a great bronze caster in Chester too. They just
Oh.
had a commission for a Thomas Paine statue or something that's going to be in DC. So not far. I would hope they would give you a reasonable price if you wanted to get a new bell.
Yeah.
Bell casting is a really tricky thing to get like the right tone and stuff. The people at Longwood got theirs refurbished not too long ago. They have a lot of bells.
The company in London that made the
Yeah,
Liberty Bell,
Whitechapel
they just closed.
doesn't work.
Oh.
Got a thriving business in London apparently.
All the
But
specialties.
like not everyone can do
The reputation
bells,
finally
which is why
caught
they're
up
bell
to-
craft.
Oh, from the
They
cracked
weren't
bell,
gonna make
yep,
it.
I mean,
Yeah, it's probably check it out the
It was in Italian.
Pennsylvania's spelled wrong
Yeah.
everywhere you
Is it?
It's spelled
Yeah.
phonetically.
go. It's only got one N in it.
Well, they gave it to some poor sap who, you know, it was,
There
everything was
was
phonetic
no,
then.
there was
Like,
no
it just-
standardized
yeah.
spelling. in
You know,
America.
spell.
You can pronounce it. There.
That's what makes it quintessential.
Yeah.
Is the food bank meeting in Campbell? Had I heard that?
Yes, so the Delaware County Food Bank.
Yeah, I know that whole brouhaha.
Yes.
So,
And then there is a media food bank. Second Baptist actually has a food bank too.
oh,
I
did not.
But
know
there's
that.
a large need. I mean, one thing being in the county seat is that there's people that come from all over the county. And so the fact that media has 3 food banks does
Okay,
not
I did
really
not know
surprise
Second
me.
Baptist
Yeah,
had
yeah, but people come from all over for resources.
one.
Yes.
Is there a cemetery that the church is associated with? Any one particular cemetery?
No. Which I'm almost kind of happy about because cemeteries are a lot.
should be.
So no, we're not. The closest one would be where Thornberry currently is.
Thornberry, yeah.
And it's fun.
But sometimes you
The
can link
Trinity
them
is associated with the
with
high
the
tide.
Yes.
registry.
Which one's it associated with?
The high tide.
I know, I'm just thinking
Well,
aloud.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it.
Some of the A.M.E.
Oh,
churches,
80.
Well, if she doesn't have it.
the
then-
cemetery is right
It's-
outside of Bethany.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yours.
So,
You walk out the door and the cemetery is right there, like
so
Bethany
sometimes,
and Thornberry.
sometimes you can get, when going back to your National Historic Registry, there is also a registry of historic cemeteries. And so sometimes that is a sort of more direct route to get, I know you said you don't have a cemetery, but for some of your other churches.
Thornberry.
Yeah.
We're in the process of doing that now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's-
And we have at least 13 colored troops who are buried there at Thornberry.
Okay.
We are doing some.
I forget what the national registry is called for cemeteries, but you should be on it then.
Sister Blackman, is there a registry?
Yeah,
for
there
all
is,
cemeteries?
and I can't remember what it's called, but
I told her I'd be interested in that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But don't you have also some Revolutionary War
Yes.
soldiers? in-
Yes,
Yeah,
Are you?
Where is
Thornberry?
Thornberry's right off of 646 Cheney Road.
It's right
Okay,
there.
it's right
and,
there.
right down the
We
street.
used to walk.
Do you have Memorial Day and Veterans Day services for the
We will
cemetery?
be. We will be. We're doing some, like I said, recently we were vandalized. So we're doing some restoring some of the headstones that were broken. And we are doing a preservation plan. Court even now, we're working with Pennsylvania Hollow Ground. We're working with University of Penn. We're working with Newman Grist Mill. And so we're doing a lot to get it back up and running, so that we can do some visitation, some historical moments of highlighting all of those that are there. We have at least 196 that are buried in our cemetery currently. And we are trying to, it's just funny because I've been in it all day today, right? Creating a grid to, so I've been at Thornberry for at least 2.5 years. And that was my first project when I came, right? Because of its history. And we have now been a part of, what am I asking? What am I trying to share next?
Bees across America?
One more time?
Bees across America?
Yes.
You're part of that?
No, we need to be.
Okay.
We need to be. We need to be. Yeah. Yeah, now that you mention that. But where was I going at? I was going somewhere. Where was I taking us?
You're talking about who you were partnering with.
Right, so yes, to share with all of that, we did a preservation plan. Actually we have a whole book over 300 pages of our plan to, all that needs to be done. It was done by, what is
Jason
that?
Hart.
Yes. And we came up with several projects. And so recently we've been doing, so we're looking for volunteers, so we ready. We call on you all to come and help us to do some cleaning as well as to do some lifting of the stones back. So to answer your question, we will be doing our own memorial. And so we did get some new GARs as well as additional flags. And I just got finished trying to find the hitting markers. We have a lot of unmarked groups. And we're going to create some crosses or some sort so we can identify them. And we've been doing some major research and looking for who they are, as well as there's families that still come by to visit. And so we want to make it more presentable, right? And so we're desperate. But the challenge have been, some of the graves have been moved. So according to a map that we have that is 160 years old, it gave us an idea of doing the grid and then going out to, but because we noticed that the graves were moved, they're out of order.
Why
And
they
it became
moved because of the weather?
No, we don't know. That's true.
All right, because sometimes during that time, I know now they put, what do they call it? The weatherproofing
Vaults.
vaults, right? Back
Oh, yeah,
then
they
they
weren't
just
doing
put
that.
you in the ground.
Yeah.
And a friend of
So there's a lot
mine
of
just
stuff.
told me she had to her well, she's like 88. She said her mother and father she went out there and they told her that the caskets were sinking.
Yeah.
And
do that.
they asked her, and they gave her amount, what it would cost to bring them up and put the vaults on the side to waterproof,
Yeah, it's a lot of that.
Right, because they've
It's
been
a lot
buried a
of-
long time.
But then there's some, to be honest, the material that they used back then is still preserved, right? So we have found that we gotta recreate it though, in order for some of them to be standing back up, because of the what do they call them? I never see ya. What they put to say it
The
again.
foundation that the
Well-
headstones on?
Well, the
rebar?
foundation.
The rebars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they gotta
They
do
pin 'em
recreation
together with
of
metal,
those.
yeah.
Yes. So this is, it's real interesting. So it's fun. I found it because I like puzzles. So when we was doing a little game and trying to identify where, I love puzzles. And so it became such a,
So actually,
I'm there
some of the
sometimes from
stones
sun up
used to
to
sew.
sundown.
Yeah.
I'm standing in the rain, feet on money. Like, who does that? I thought I used to be scared of cemeteries, but because of the history, it made me more wanting to know who these people are, right? And back then, they used flowers for marking.
Yeah.
They used a rose bush for marking. Bush ain't there, but, so it's real
I guess they couldn't
interesting.
afford the headstone.
Well, that might be true, but then there were some prominent black folks in there who has great big headstone and
headstone.
you know, because the dairies in
Mm.
that area, you know, they was.
Prominent.
Mm-hmm. You live on that road.
I do.
Yes. I did not know I was coming. You know, I'm glad I got a little bit of it. I wish I was more prepared.
I'm
to get
wondering with America's 250, have you found any assistance with that? With your, you know, your cemetery is
right.
right at
they
that
were looking,
timeline.
But they were looking for folks that was in 18. I forgot what they said. But if you can give me the information of how far they want to go back, I'll see some.
250 years.
No, was it? So that's what.
Revolutionary.
You had the
Right.
Revolutionary War.
Or anything, you know, the entire history of America.
Or, I mean-
So it doesn't have to be from 1776 that anything happened, you know, so.
Someone said told me 18 something. If we had anybody that was buried 18. I
You know,
forgot the
revolutionary
number.
people and.
Okay.
Well,
should definitely
it's
get-
going back to the Revolutionary War, so if you have
Yeah.
Revolutionary
Oh,
War
which
soldiers, you know, I would think.
I would
you
think
know,
you
that-
had a 200 day.
You have,
Yeah.
you have something to offer.
Alright, so
But
y'all
you-
have
So there's a
more
plethora
representatives.
of what I'm hearing.
But,
Okay, so it was good to come here tonight.
yes, it's always good to come and hear something else.
Ah.
But
Yes.
I mean, Reverend Baker has been bragging about her cemetery. Can I say something about mine?
Wait, for
She got
historical,
tons.
you're at Mount Zion A.M.E. Church in Devon.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
to different township, Chester County.
Yes.
And our church was founded in 1849. And of course, you know, just like you hear a lot of history, you know, people met in people's homes first.
Right.
And so we bought the property from an abolitionist, by the way.
Oh,
No,
okay.
wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's another whole, don't get me started. But we bought the property from an abolitionist who literally lived down the hill. And in 1856. And the cornerstone of the original church, because we have the original church building, then we had the cemetery,
Mhm.
and then we had the new church building that was
Right.
built and dedicated in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these three pieces, but it's all on one property. And in 1894, there was a newspaper article out of the Daily Local News talking about the Memorial Day service, Decoration Day service at that year. And they said fully, quote, 1,000 people attended that Memorial Day service. And at that time, they mentioned that there were 18 Civil War soldiers.
We got 18.
And so, so there may be some more, and I'm still trying to investigate that. But we know we now have, we're up to at least maybe 21 Civil War soldiers and World War I, World War II. But it's just the fact, you know, that fully 1,000 people attended. And when you look and see where we are now,
Yes.
we had property that we sold, and so we're basically hemmed in right now. There's, you know, arboretums and houses and things all around. But when you stop and think about where did these 1,000 people come from, first of all, and where were they in proximity to the cemetery? Well, there's a lot of new houses. New, going back, 100 years ago? So anyway, so I just wanted to say something about that. Now, Reverend Baker, I think
Doctor was right.
you're working on your doctorate.
She finished. She's Reverend Doctor.
Excuse me.
We're gonna claim it. Graduation's not till June, but we're gonna claim it.
Excuse me.
She's defended.
Reverend Doctor
Yes, ma'am.
Baker, Angela
Yes,
Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
She was talking about some of the things, like the preservation plan that her church has,
Mhm.
and she mentioned Pennsylvania Hallowed Grounds. I happen to be a board member of
That's right.
Pennsylvania Hallowed Grounds. And it was exciting for me when we got what we call mini MINI grants
Mm-hmm.
that we were able to dispense. And we had a pilot program, and Thornberry
Mm-hmm.
was one of the 3 pilots.
That's right.
The other one was Lindley Hill in Downingtown,
Okay.
and the third one was Green Lawn Cemetery in Chester. And so and we're statewide, so because I physically was closest to all three of them, I was the one chosen to go and meet with the consultant that worked with them when they're planning and go visit these places. And I am so proud that I was on the beginning of it. And so, I just wanted to throw that out. And then after the pilot program, then we were able to fund, these three included, 11 more churches across the state. And all basically doing the same thing, everybody starting from scratch, whatever. And, to get someone, a consultant, to help them figure out what their plan should be or could be and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to throw that out. And of course, we're still looking to see if we can get more money to be able to do that and help more cemeteries.
Do any of your AME churches have schools?
Yeah, A.M.E. Well, I mean, you mean universities or
No,
K to
no.
12? Because we do have.
No, some of the AME churches, I know down south, you may have an historical church, the cemetery, and then you have the one.
Oh, the one-room
classroom.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen many up north. There were freedom schools, which I know that they're bringing back, which freedom schools were more instrumental with beyond literacy, voter registration, making sure that people had access to housing, that type of education. Some churches I know of in New Jersey have had one-room schools. Jacob's Chapel, Mount Zion, Swedesboro. There's Mount Zion, it's in the Camden, Trenton area. They have a lot of one-room schools. They were also more populated of enslavement than Pennsylvania at the time. So I don't know of any in at least the Philadelphia area.
I think there might have been one in Chatsford.
Mother Archie?
Mother Archie, yeah.
That's not AME.
That was not associated with AME, but there's a school there though. So I don't know.
I think it was a school. It was a school when the pastor bought the building. It was a school, and then it became a church.
And then there's a cemetery. Okay.
And the cemetery.
Okay.
You had mentioned colleges. Is there an AME seminary?
Yes, there's Payne. Then there's
Bunches.
there's so many.
There's about 5 or 6.
Turner, ITC. There it is. I was like, there's another one.
Yeah, ITC.
So yes, we have seminaries. We have universities.
Any of them around here in this area?
The closest one would be Ohio.
Wilberforce.
Wilberforce. And then there are numerous down south.
And some of them are historically black colleges.
Yes.
Yes,
At least
HBCUs.
4 of them. At least 4 of them.
Yes. Bishop Coppin and Francis Coppin were the ones with Cheney University.
Okay.
Before it was a university. Paul, did you have your hand up?
Oh, no, I did want to, I was going to say to Reverend Dr. Turner here, with your church being in Thornbury as a Delaware County
Yes.
church, we're happy to provide any resources you need about history, historiosity, letters of support, something of that nature to help with your preservation efforts. So anything you need, just to reach out, we're happy to help.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we need help with finding grants or figuring them out. That's one thing we do here is we like to be able to help people do.
Should we call you
Let's help you with your project and figure this out. And I know that y'all were talking about Green Lawn. One of our board members, Twyla Simpkins. is
Yes.
very-
Yes, Twyla, yes.
She's closely.
Yes.
She works very closely with Green Lawn, so we've helped her with that. And so anything you need, we're happy to help.
All right, I'll make sure I get
Oh, here,
Is it on my, look, wait, is it on my bag?
No, there's no contact information.
Oh,
on
man,
that.
advertisement. Thank you.
I should have put a number on the bag. I didn't, we didn't do that.
Next time.
Next time.
Well, speaking of that,
No, we didn't.
speaking of that, Delaware County Planning Commission.
Oh, yes.
Department. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Did you
Yeah.
mention?
I hope you know
Rose
Kate,
and,
right?
Rose
Yeah, you
and-
can work with Rose and Beverly.
Yeah, they,
Okay.
and so we hosted our focus group for African American cemeteries just the other day at Thornberry.
Yeah.
So next time, come on. Love to have you guys. And Bertha was on the line. Since Bertha was on the line. So it's good. It's good. This was good. Oh my goodness. We had some help.
Yes.
A lot of help. Look at her.
And so I hope, this evening it wasn't just talking about, where we started, but also
Where we go.
helping
Where we're
to
going.
be a part of where we're going. And so you can check out www.campbellamecmedia.com
Oh, I will.
to follow along. I did have us add a tab for the Preserving Black Churches specifically. Right now it's just the announcement. Hopefully next month it will have who our team is, the professional team. And then after that, we'll be planning for our advisory community team to join our congregation alongside planning for the preservation and the bicentennial at the same time.
Are you having another gala?
Not this year. Probably the next gala will be in 2027. But we are going to do some smaller things. I didn't mention, which I should have, but because the big grant was on my mind, we did get a mini grant. Speaking of mini grants, from the Pennsylvania Abolition Society. Which will help us to, so Paul, I am going to reach out to you, help us to create within our space for America's semi-quincentennial, just a small setup, probably similar to what Media Presbyterian has, with our archives, a lot of posters to know more about our history in 2026. So it's a mini grant, so it'll give us that ability to kind of have a mobile setup, pop-up museum. And we hope to get smaller things like that and build up as we know more about the preservation efforts. But our website will have more about all that we're doing. Social media, trying to get into that a little bit more. We do have a Facebook and Instagram. And then you can always reach out by calling or emailing me. And our contact info is on the website too. Yeah.
Thank you, Reverend Washington.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you all very much for coming out. We hope to see you again.